Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
What we're going to talk about today might make you a little uncomfortable, might even scare you a little bit when you think about the products that you're using, especially the products that you put on your body. And it could be a soap, it could be deodorant. Did you ever look online at what is actually in this stuff that is being absorbed into your skin and then into your body? It's pretty scary. And that's why she decided to start a company that has natural products that are safe for you and your family, and products for your body, for your house, cleaning, all of that. It's called Aspire. She's out of Colorado, and we're going to talk more with Julie Smith. Welcome back, Julie. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. And we've talked about the products before, but we're gonna drill even deeper, especially starting with deodorant. And you opened my eyes to all of this a couple of podcasts back as to what is actually in deodorant. And I'm thinking, these big companies, I don't have to name the names, you know the ones, either it's a roll-on, a spray, whatever it might be. I'm thinking, the government approved it. It's got to be okay for you. Apparently not the case when it comes to deodorant, because there's things like aluminum in it. And I've actually seen that on the label, and it never even like occurred to me what the heck that is. What is in those products? Can we start there and then talk about your products and how they're so different?
Mhm. Well, that's the main things are aluminum, like you said, silicones, which are basically they've taken silica in natural rock like quartz or granite or whatever, basalt. I don't know what they use. Probably quartz, mostly sand, and reacted it in a way to make it organic, and then put it on your body, and it's just. Yeah, and not good for your body, but definitely not good after it goes down the drain and goes to the waste treatment plant. Silicas in personal care products are horrible for waste treatment plants, because what they do is, if you try to do anaerobic digestion in the plants, which is a wonderful way to recover biogas, which is the exact same methane as natural gas, can be used for heating. It's very useful. But when they try to do that, if there are a lot of silicas that come from personal products, they try to turn into rock in the anaerobic digesters and the piping and the pumps and things like that, and they really mess things up. And then aluminum is just something you don't want to be rubbing on your skin or on your body. And it just amazes me that we've had that in our personal care products all this time. Back when I was a little kid, I remember when I was in elementary school, my sister had a cyst under her arm, and I didn't think about armpit at the time, but she had a cyst under there, and the doctor told her that she should stop using her deodorant that had aluminum in it and change to something that didn't. So I got exposure to that early on. And then
Wow.
later, I realized that that's where your lymph nodes are. I mean, those are your sweat glands. And aluminum and silicas, they're in these solid. There's a distinction between deodorant and antiperspirant. Okay, so antiperspirants block the pores and keep you from sweating, or they absorb the sweat, but mostly they block the pores and keep you from sweating. And that's the last thing that we need to do. We actually need to sweat. So antiperspirants are a deodorant. That's another thing antiperspirants are the ones that keep you from sweating. And then a deodorant just simply keeps you from stinking while you sweat. So that's the way I look at it. It's like, yes, we absolutely have to sweat, but we don't want to stink while we're doing it, or we prefer not to. Not that that's unhealthy, but none of us likes the smell of, and it makes you smell dirty. So, and I feel
Sure.
dirty if I smell dirty. So,
Sure.
that's what that's all about. So there are simple ways to not. Oh, another thing is, if they have, you don't see a lot of dyes, but scents, a lot of petrochemical perfumes and scents, as Big Court tries to create proprietary scents that aren't easy to create, and they're usually petrochemicals that are not biodegradable. And those, if they're not biodegradable, what that means is that they don't get treated in the 24 hours of exposure time they have to activated sludge in a conventional wastewater treatment plant. So what they'll do is they'll just fly right on through the plant, and they are extremely toxic to fish and wildlife at very low concentrations. And when they say that, they usually mean 10 ppb, which is 10 parts per billion or less. So if they're that toxic to fish and wildlife, why are we rubbing that stuff in our armpits next to our lymph nodes?
So here's my
You
question,
know.
and this stuff is all, this is scary. I mean, and when you think about it, very sensitive, vulnerable area under your arms, you might as well just put it underneath your
Yeah,
tongue. It's like, it's close to
is that,
that,
yeah, pretty much.
right?
Mhm.
Um, Not good for you, not good for the environment. The deodorants that are out there now, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being horrific, okay, based on your experience in studying. And I want to share with everybody, you've got extensive experience in wastewater treatment plants, um, and a lot more than that. So it's on
And
your radar,
chemistry, yeah.
and chemistry.
Mhm.
So scale of 1 to 10, our bodies and the environment, if we looked at it that way, 10 being just this like horrific for you and the environment. If we looked at it as, personally and the environment, both of them on a
Mhm.
10 scale, what would they be?
Um, Probably on the like 8 to 10.
For both?
Seriously, I mean, it's just something that I can't imagine anybody wanting to do.
Okay. Wow. Because I wondered, is it worse for the environment than it is for our bodies, or both are 8 to 10? Like it's up there. It's dangerous for us, and it's dangerous for the environment.
Yeah, any number that I would put on that, it would be the same for our bodies and the same for the environment, because
Gotcha.
we're living organisms that are part of the ecosystem, and we're rubbing this stuff directly on ourselves, and then it goes down the drain, and then it goes through the waste treatment plant, and some of it gets removed. The silicon and aluminum do get removed. It's the tiny amounts of parfums and toxic petrochemicals that pass through because they're not biodegradable. The aluminum and the silica are going to end up in the sludge, if they're not completely soluble. And
Hmm.
which, that is what it is too. But the sludge is the best resource we have for keeping our consumption, basically the food that we eat and that we eventually, exits our bodies number two and goes and gets treated at the waste plant. That is full of the nutrients that we can grow our food with. So we want to be careful with that as well. I mean, you're aware of all the PFAS, or yeah, polyfluorinated alkyl substances that are just the bane right now of sludge, because we've got our entire planet so contaminated with that stuff that there's no getting rid of it. I mean, it's going to be at least 100 years before we get that stuff out of our environment. So we're going to be living with that. And sludge is getting a bad name because it gets out there as sludge is one of the many, many ways. I mean, firefighting foam is probably worse, but still, just the ways that we're poisoning our environment. And basically, just keeping it simple and using biodegradable products will go a long way towards mitigating that, if it can be mitigated at this point.
And firefighting foam, okay, yeah, not good. But how often is that used? We're talking
A
about,
lot, a
is it
lot.
really? Wow.
Or oh yeah, you have to Google that. We're getting a little off subject, but yeah, if you look up PFAS and yeah, find out the many ways that it goes in. Yes, there's so much of it. Anyway, so it's pretty scary, and it's just an example of the most recent contaminant. It's like
Wow.
aluminum's been out there for a long time. PFAS is simply, it's just in the last, seems like 5 to 10 years that started becoming a thing. But anyway, those
Mhm.
kinds of things, it's like you think they're okay, and then you find out later, after the cat's out of the bag. I mean, single-use plastics seemed to be a great idea at the time too. I mean, saving women, mainly it was a focus at housewives not ever having to wash dishes again and deal with that drudgery. But you know what? In our lives, I think we need some drudgery. We all have things that we have to do. We all have chores, and we can't just live life without chores. And I think this is kind of the plastic pollution. That's what we get for trying. We need
Mm.
to, divide our day into things that are fun and things that need to be done, and organize things. And that's just what it gets down to. So plastic is another example, and think of all the different kinds of, and then we find out, oh, by the way, bottled water, yeah, that's really cool. Whoever thought people would be stupid enough to buy water? We found out they are. We've got so much bottled water out there. And then we find out that and they're willing to pay by the way 1,000 times as much as what it's worth if you just got it out of the tap, and then got convinced that it's better for you. Oh, by the way, it leaches plastic from the inside of the bottles, and that's bad for you too. And you look at all of these diseases that we have, all these Western diseases, and even conditions. So you've got things like rheumatoid arthritis, and you've got all the cancers and the heart disease, which is more about the sugar that tastes good, the fat that tastes good, diabetes, things like that. But then also look at some of the really weird ones that we really don't have a good understanding of where they come from, like autism and different
Mm.
kinds of mental disorders that are growing big time in frequency and percent frequency. I mean, of course, they're growing in numbers because of the fact that we have more people. But when you look at the numbers per thousands, those have gone up just astronomically, those kinds of cases for those kinds of diseases. And
And
it's,
you know what?
we're poisoning ourselves, and we thought it was a great idea at the time. So now let's get back to deodorant. You could buy a bottle. The easiest thing to deodorize yourself is to buy a bottle of Everclear, put it in a spray bottle, and just spritz yourself. The alcohol beats back the biomass just like it does if you're cleaning out a wound. It's the primary ingredient in hand sanitizer. It kills on contact the biomass, and then it's fully biodegradable. Ethanol is the most biodegradable alcohol that there is. So it's just a 2-carbon simple alcohol that if we drink in excess, it'll make us silly. But as far as getting into the environment, it biodegrades right away. So there's no
Mm.
harm in it. So that's the easiest thing you can do. Now, what I do, Everclear is expensive because it's got the alcohol tax on it. It's basically pure drinkable alcohol. And what I do is I use an organic, and it's not organic. I use an organic alcohol. So I'm spending a little bit more on it to get to avoid the poisons used in conventional growing that's killing our wildlife and our environment. So I buy it organic, and then it's denatured to keep, which is adding a toxin, or in this case, a bitterant. That's approved for health and beauty, to keep people from being able to drink it. So if you try to drink it, it'd be like you just gag it. So it's not drinkable. And because of that, they don't tax it. So I've got a balance here where I pay a little bit more for the organic ethanol, but then I'm paying a lot less because the tax on alcohol for consumption is really high. Um,
Oh.
so and we're just spraying it on our arms. So I do that, and then I add essential oils to it, and you could do that very simply with a bottle of Everclear if you wanted to. Is just add whatever essential oils you like. I have deodorants that I've made a mountain forest group, or essential oils are like pines and sages, and things that you'd expect to find in a forest. An earthy kind of smell, and then I have a garden one that has the flowers in there. We've got rose, geranium, lavender, and just flowers that you expect to find. And they're mainly Colorado type ingredients because our theme is Aspire Colorado. So a mountain theme, and then and our logo has a mountain on it for that same reason, Aspire Colorado. And then we have a plain and simple for people that don't like a lot of the pines and the flowers, that just has just a little tea tree and a little lemongrass in it, and a little peppermint, and you're done. So
Mm.
just there are many ways. And then people who don't like those, yeah, like I said, you can scent it whatever you happen to like at home. Just go to Whole Foods or someplace and buy a little dropper bottle, and it takes maybe 20 drops to scent, say, a 4-ounce spray bottle. So it's a pretty simple thing that you could do at home very easily. And then I wanted to talk too about just how that aligns with the choices we make when we decide how far to go on food preparation. So it kind of aligns with that. So you think there are some things that are easier to do than others. So like, I'll make a salad at home. I'm not going to buy a plastic container full of pre-prepared lettuce because I'm too lazy to buy bulk lettuce and chop it up and make a salad. Okay. But then when I look at things like making soup, it's a little more complex, but not by much. But I can make soup from bulk very easily and avoid a bunch of cans or chili. I buy my beans dried and then I soak them a couple days in advance because it takes a little bit more time, but it doesn't take any more work than it does to open a can. Just a little more time to think of I'm going to have chili in 3 days instead of I'm going to make some chili right now.
Mm.
So that's a little more complex, but not by much. So a lot of people will make their own soups or stews or stir fries and things like that at home. But then when you get into things like baking quick breads, now you're getting into a little bit more of an endeavor. So that's where it's with personal care products, it's the same way. And, so then you'd say, I'm going to choose to buy my bread because I think it's pain to make it. And so that's then back to the personal care products. It's that way with some of these. It's like, okay, making soap might be a bit of an endeavor for most people. So that's where I fit in. I'll make
Mm.
the soap and you buy the soap and then you don't have to make soap. You just come refill your soap. But when it comes to things like alcohol or deodorant, rather, that's pretty simple. That's another choice that I would call it a lower level choice. To choose to make your own or to choose to say, I'm going to save the time and buy it from Aspire, you know. So just a little bit of that kind of thing to think about.
Once you hear all of this and you make the decision to really change your life and help your family, yourself, and the environment. And I want to share with you,
Yeah.
I just saw
Control
this
for yourself what's in your products,
exactly.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry,
And
I
and
interrupted.
and you're by buying these products, not yours, the ones that contain silica and all
Aluminum,
aluminum,
yeah.
oh, all of that. You're just you're voting with your purchase to say that's okay. I want to share with you, this just came out today, and it's kind of a surprise. You know how a lot of municipalities, counties have switched over to paper straws?
Mm-hmm.
We have them here in the New York area. People complain about them all the time because they don't work as well as a plastic straw. Study found that paper straws might not be that eco-friendly. 90% of the ones tested had forever chemicals linked to health issues like cancer. So did 75% of the plastic straws they tested. And then they go on to say that
Mm-hmm.
stainless steel straws were the only ones that didn't test positive, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are thinking, oh, well, the paper straws, we don't love them, but they're better for you. No, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I laugh, Julie, when
Mm-hmm.
you see a place hand a drink with that paper straw in a plastic cup. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
where's the
Yeah.
logic in that?
Mm.
Wow, you got
Yeah,
the paper straw.
exactly.
Good for you. But that's
Mm-hmm.
this much plastic if it was a plastic straw. The plastic cup is this big in our environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. But who would even think
Well,
that
and
the
it's
paper?
Well, and it kind of is, it's kind of like the plastic. It's just find a way to not have it to begin with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even use straws. And I just, why? And if I do, it's like if I do, I just don't. I don't really like them. But the paper straws, and that's an example of the PFAS that we're between a rock and a hard place with some of this stuff. And with the PFAS, that's kind of an example of how it gets used. It's one of the things it does is it repels water, so it'll keep the straw from collapsing. And that's what they've been lining pizza boxes with all this time. So that's how it's gotten in our systems and gotten just ubiquitous in our environment. And yeah, but some things like straws are just going to have to go away, or just get a metal straw and use it the rest of your life. How hard was that? And it's not hard.
Yeah.
I had a friend give me a metal straw recently, and I thanked him. I don't use them, but he did it as just a gesture, a nod to my sustainability. And I thought that was very nice of him to do. And if I ever need a straw, that's what I'll use. I don't think it's hard. They're not big. If it's that important to you to have a straw, they're not expensive. You buy them once, you're done.
Right.
So.
And I would imagine too, a metal straw is going to retain the temperature better than the plastic or the paper. I would think there's a benefit there when you're sipping it. But yeah, I don't use straws either. It just doesn't.
I don't know.
And what about the paper that they come in? So you got that all rolled up and thrown away.
Yeah, we have to get used. I mean, All In. Remember, there was a podcast a few times back where I ran through the numbers, and All In, our single-use containers are about 10% of our carbon footprint.
Wow.
And it's easy. We've proven in our home that it's easy to not have them in the first place. It can be done. It's just a different way of thinking. And yes, it's more work. Get over it. We need to get over it. We need to stop it. It's like, what were you going to do instead? We have obesity problems in this country because we spend too much time sitting and being couch potatoes, and we don't even have the energy to get out and walk. And then now and then at the 11th hour, we want to save ourselves from having a heart attack. It's like, get up and walk, do things,
Yeah.
and one of these things would be chores to handle our containers responsibly and keep them full circle and do the little extra bit of work that it takes to not have single-use containers, to get them refilled, bother to find a bulk store. I know so many bulk stores that have opened around here, including my own, and it takes like years to get anybody to even come to your store. That's how little concern there is over the issue, and it's 10% of our carbon footprint.
Wow.
It's absurd.
Wow. I know we had a lot that we wanted to get to today. We're just about out of time.
No, we can push it out. Yeah.
Can we talk about
do one more?
Can we do bug spray?
Let's do the bug spray.
In the New York area over this past weekend, and it made headlines, from Manhattan to Montauk. Okay, huge area. There was a swarm of these gnats that some say were biting Saturday night everywhere. I saw them. I thought it was just in my neighborhood, but then everybody else is talking about them. That time of year, of course. Your bug spray. Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so the bug spray is basically is similar to the deodorant. So there's no DEET in there. There are no poisons. And, lining with my thinking on deodorant, we need to sweat. We just don't want to stink while we're doing it. We want to keep the bugs off of us. We want to keep them from biting, but we don't want to kill them and poison ourselves at the same time while we're doing it. So that's where we eliminate the DEET. And DEET is horrible for us and horrible for the environment. I would give that stuff a 10.
Yeah,
it's just, we shouldn't have that. Now, it definitely works better, and you don't have to reapply it because it kills little suckers. It's nasty, but that's why people use it. And there are these people that think they're really smart, and and I kind of get back to the autism thing. But they think, oh, I want DEET. Don't give me anything but DEET. It has to be DEET because DEET works and this other crap doesn't. And then it gets back to us, and it's like, well, yes, this is just essential oils. This one's based on citronella, which is an essential oil that does biodegrade, and it repels the bugs, and it doesn't kill them. It just repels them. They don't like it. Now, what I've done is made a product that has the base is alcohol again, but I have all these essential oils in addition to citronella that bugs don't like. So there's cedar oil, lemongrass oil, and geranium oil and lavender. There are a lot of things that bugs do not like. And hazel, yeah, witch hazel and then castor oil are known to repel bugs. Now, I don't think any one of those oils repels all bugs, so that's why I have them all in. I've got a bouquet in there
Huh.
that have as many as I can get in there to make sure that there's something in there that'll repel the bugs that are bugging you. And I think honestly, at the end of the day, the smartest thing for us to do is when a really buggy situation is to cover ourselves. I mean, and you can't always, that might be uncomfortable, but if you're in a really buggy area, and then a lot of people spray the outsides. I do it, spray the outside of my shirt if there are mosquitoes landing on my shirt. But
Hmm.
and again, these products are all refillable and they're also pretty easy to do at home. You could buy some citronella and just make your own bug concoction and use it to spray. And don't buy products that have DEET in them.
If there's anything, if this resonates with anybody, that would be my first one. Because even since I don't think I was a kid, hearing the word DEET was like, "Mer, mer, 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 stay away, stay away." Yeah, it works. For me, DEET, DEET stands for don't even entertain this because it's just not good for you. Not good for you. Julie, tell us how we can learn more about your products, your website. I know that you ship anywhere in the country, even the world. How do we find you?
Aspirecolo.com.
And that's
And that's my website, aspirecolo.com. And there's an entire store on there, and all my product information is on there. I believe in transparency. And there are a lot of choices. You can buy a spray bottle, you can buy it in plastic. I don't have any problem with multiple use plastic. I've been using my plastic spray bottles forever.
Mm.
And even the aluminum spray bottles that I offer have plastic tops. So you're not going to really get away from plastic. But like I said, they're reusable, infinitely reusable. I'll probably have the same bottles in 30 years because I reuse them. And then
Isn't
what I
that
do is I offer refills, in 16-ounce bottles, and then you could just reuse the bottle on the other end, or on your side, or you can send it back and get it refilled. I also have half gallons and gallons for people, and you can buy. And if you spend more than a gallon, it'll set you back probably $90. But if you spend more than $75, then I ship for free. And the gallon will last, like that would last a family of four, probably 5 years. Imagine that on deodorant. I mean, really, when you buy in bulk, you really do save quite a bit of money.
and people buy in bulk at some of those membership stores, but you're buying the stuff that's harming you and your family. And I gotta say,
Well, and you're not gonna get that refilled.
and you're not right, exactly.
You're not going to get a refilled. So you're in single use. There's not one store. I mean, I can't name one store that has deodorant in
None,
bulk
none.
that you can
O-
refill,
Only
you
yours.
know.
And it's such a great feeling when you can reuse that plastic. I had dinner the other night, and they gave me a take-home container. Yes, it was plastic, but better quality plastic. I got to tell you, I brought that home. I put it in the sink, cleaned it. I'm like, I got excited. Like, I know it sounds so
Yeah, you
silly.
can take,
Yeah.
yeah, it
And
is, but it's a good feeling. And
yeah.
then you can reuse it. We have
Yes.
plastic containers that we just keep in our car. And when we get handed a styrofoam container, we're like, no. And we just go get our plastic container and put our food in there and leave.
Yeah.
And I know more and more people who are doing that.
Julie, thank you for being with us today, spreading the awareness as always, and for making some great products. And everybody, check out the website and do a service to your family, yourself, and the environment. And also buy from local and also small business people. I love the fact that you make this stuff and it's good for you. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
See ya.
you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.